stand down.
I'm not going to do that.
Well, first of all, let me shake your hand. It's a real pleasure to meet you. I've never met an astronaut.
Well, it's a pleasure for me, Jason. How are you?
Good. Can you tell me a little bit, actually, about some of the badges and decals on your suit here?
Oh, sure. Well, when you leave the astronaut corps, they let you take the blue suit with you, and then it's just up to you to be able to still fit in it, you know.
Right.
But just mission patches. I flew 3 space shuttle missions. The tradition in the program for every space mission that we've ever flown of having a unique patch that's often designed by the crew, but sometimes by professional artists. Actually, my daughter and wife and I designed this patch. As a rookie on the flight, it was my responsibility. Of course, my military astronaut Air Force wings. And above that's the Mach 25 patch, a unique thing we had in the space shuttle program for flying 25 times the speed of sound.
Wow, that's great. So, we'll get to Oblivion, but, I was
Sure.
curious, since you've actually been up there,
Right.
what is the biggest misconception about traveling in space?
Great question. No one's ever quite phrased a question that way to me. I think perhaps it may be that everyone gets sick when they go up there. I mean, people say, oh, well, weren't you sick when you... No, I felt great. And there are some folks that have some stomach awareness, but they also have medicine, phenogrin, which is 100% effective to take those symptoms away, that if people need it, they tell the rookies, if you need it, take a little of that and you're good to go.
Now, I also read that it said that, you teach, Tom and the gang, about moving in zero gravity. And I was just curious, obviously, you can't show me, but, what is it like to move in zero gravity?
Well, I'll start with a preface to that. Tom is a very athletic individual, so he has a lot of body awareness and movement, like it reminds me of a gymnast, the way he moves and everything. So very quick study on that. And I expressed to them some of the elements of, my experience of flying in space, that it's not at all like swimming. Don't move any appendage once you've pushed off from something. It's just pushing off and gliding. And the other element is we rarely, on occasion, you'll push off with your hands, but often if you want to do big, quick movements, you're going to push off with your legs. And in the Odyssey scene where he's, the commander, he turns around in the seat and looks behind, and he's calculating in his brain what he has to do, and he realizes, I've got to separate that module. And then he's in a real hurry. So we coached him on that, to use some features in the console up there to push off with his legs. And then as we practiced and developed it, it became a question of getting his push off at the right amount of force level that would give, would portray realistically the speed he wanted to go at, then getting the guy running the slide to run that at the right rate and get all that synced up.
So now, talking about Oblivion, I was curious, how accurate are some of the space vehicles in terms of not only design but functionality and things like that in terms of your experience working?
Well, the Odyssey is the main vehicle I had input on. The bubble ship, although as a test pilot, I would love to fly a vehicle that could do that, was not something I consulted on or worked with. But Odyssey is envisioned to be a shuttle follow-on that may be designed 10 or 15 years from our present day. So there's certain elements internal to its design that would be carryover from the shuttle, kind of how the controls are laid out and some of the displays and features throughout. I had the opportunity to make some inputs on some of those designs, specifically since they were doing an orbital maneuvering task to try to escape from the Tet in that scene in the movie. You wanted to have the features that would initiate the burns, we call them, but initiate the orbital maneuvering system or the retro rockets. So we put those features in as advised by me. Some of the displays I advised them on. So it's as realistic as we could make it to really portray the sense that they're really doing it in a spaceship.
Now, obviously, in the film, there's aspect of, kind of an alien invasion and things like that. And being a man who obviously has been out there and has been closer than any of us, what do you think about, life on other planets?
I think my personal opinion, there's life throughout the universe. I think it's ubiquitous. Now, that doesn't mean there's intelligent life circling the Earth, rejoining on us, whatever. I'm also science and engineering background kind of guy, so show me the data, and I want to see data.
So, seeing the finished product of Oblivion, what was your take on just kind of the space elements and what Joe had created in terms of those worlds?
Oblivion is spectacular. I mean, I'm a science fiction fan. I've been reading science fiction since I can remember, all the classics, Heinlein, Asimov, and more modern writers as well. I still love science fiction. And, of course, films as well. And in my view, obviously, I because I have a little personal connection here, that may bias it a little bit. But I think this is up there, in my view, with 2001, which is, all-time great.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. I really appreciate it. It was a pleasure. This is Jason Coleman with StarPulse.com, and I'm about to get on this very awesome and very scary-looking gyroscope, but there's no way I'm doing this by myself. I'm a total wimp. So I have convinced Jill from MPRM to go on this with me. Like Bert the Conqueror style. Remember, he has those little children next to him, so he doesn't look so bad screaming. That's what I'm doing. I appreciate you. Thank you. We're gonna get on now.
No screaming like a girl.
I will try not to. I can't promise.
All right, here we go.
Oh man.
This could be a good ride.
Oh man. Whoa! I definitely was a lot more vocal than she was. I'm spinning a little bit, but it was awesome. Very cool.